Your host, Dewan B. Intelligent-ish talk, intelligent shit talk, where we balance the profound with the profane. Political satire, celebrity and expert guests, information and entertainment, conversation and solutions. Leave your feelings at the door.
I am here. Thank y'all for joining me. Having some random live Q&A shit talk tonight. I was gonna honestly, look, I'm doing a show on the whole ESPN situation with Rachel Nichols, and I put the whole show together today. But I've been busy and lazy at the same time. You know how that go. Hella busy, but during the times I'm not busy, I just been like, man, I ain't doing shit. I ain't about to get on live. So with that show, I'm gonna have to actually be accurate and think and pay attention. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna do that shit tomorrow morning. Tonight, I done already had some wine. I've been smoking weed and watching Mountain Men. That show Mountain Men on History Channel, that's my shit. That show done taught me how to skin a buffalo. It done taught me how to hunt squirrel and any of that survival shit we may need if this country keep fucking around. Well, what's up, everybody in here? What's up, Sheila? What's up, Tasha? What's up, Kenneth Berry? Ramon? Mr. Trey Day? What's up, Josh Hawkins? What's up, Chucks and Chillin'? The name is Chucks and Chillin'. What's up, Denise, Rob Justice, Sheila, Mario Moon? If I skipped over you, my bad. My bad. What's going on? I'm just going to have a Q&A. I don't know. I just wanted to check in because we haven't talked since, Thursday, Friday, something like that. So I'm not going to be here too long. I just wanted to check in with y'all. Like I said, tomorrow morning I'm gonna do a whole breakdown on the whole Rachel Nichols. If y'all are unaware, that white chick at ESPN that's mad that the black chick got picked over her, and I'm gonna go in detail with that one because it's some bullshit. This white female privilege has gotten out of hand. Out of hand. What up, King David? What's up, Mickey? What's up, Joey? What's up, Star? Oh, yeah, Boyce. Trey Day said, Boyce and Lamoise are going at it. You know, Boyce, man, he be giving good information. I stopped listening to Boyce consistently about 3 or 4 years ago. Because he, you know, but I see the value in Boyce. You know, I'll listen to him when he interviews like Dr. Claude Anderson. You know, Dr. Boyce gave us Vicky Dillard. We love Vicky Dillard. But he also gave us that bit Mad Max forehead, kid and play looking chick. What's her name? The ADOS, what's her name? Christopher Kidd Reed. The one that looked like Christopher Kidd Reed. What's her name? Yvette Colonel, something like that. He gave us her too, so. But Boyce, man. I like Boyce, man, but Boyce be chatty patty like a motherfucker. Like, nigga, Boyce. Like that whole situation with Boyce and Kwame, that shit did never need to happen. But Mark Lamont Hill is hella weak. King David said, Vicky loud. Hey, Vic, that gavel Vicky be using, that shit, because I be listening to YouTube when I drive. I understand why she use it, but that gavel be made. Talk to me, Saints. Like, damn, Vicky, it's cool, but like when you driving, you don't want to hear that. But Vicky gives us good information. She gives us good information. She really does, and she be on it. You know, Boyce is cool, but like, he did, but like that Mark Lamont Hill, you saw how mad Mark Lamont Hill got at Boyce? What's up, Brim Dog? Y'all saw how mad Boyce got at Mark. Like Mark Lamont Hill, you didn't get mad at none of them people that was calling you an anti-Semite when you was talking about Palestine. You was trying to cape for another group that don't fuck with niggas. And the people who really run this news industry came at you. You didn't come at them any old. You was humble as hell. But the minute you don't agree with a nigga, you're a failure, you're this, you're that. I had like tweeted up under that. I tweeted, you know, but yeah, all that may be true, Mark Lamont Hill, but Boyce still got you. Boyce still got your ass, because it really was like Lizzo racing Shari Richardson, that debate. Yeah, and Mark Lamont Hill ain't shit. You say I'm from the jungles. I don't. Gang history isn't my forte, Kid Lucifer. It's a good question, but gang history in LA is not my forte. There's a lot of people out here that cover gang history in LA. I'm not one of them. Because I've never seen the gangs as anything important or anybody special. You know? Even growing up in the hood, I never like gave it. Like, people always looked up to the gangsters and shit. That never was me. To me, even though I grew up right there in the Crenshaw District, Coliseum Street, in between Coliseum and Rodeo, just outside the J's, right there in Rodeo Lane. Rodeo Lane was just as bad as the goddamn J's. Tell the truth. Especially back then in the 80s and 90s. I saw the gangs were there, but like, my parents taught me at a very young age, like, the difference between, I remember my parents had a house, and I remember my mom and my dad were really good at explaining things to me. And I remember I used to like digging holes in the backyard. Because before we had bought the house, we used to rent out. And when I started digging those holes in the backyard, my dad said, see, that's the difference. I was like maybe 7 or 8 years old. My dad said, that's the difference between owning a home and renting a home. When you own your home, you can dig as many holes as you want. When you rent, you can't. And I was like, why? He was like, because when you rent it, it's somebody else's rules. When you own, it's your rules. And that stuck with me. I was probably closer to 10. But that stuck with me. Because I'm looking at cats in these gangs. I'm like, but what about all the cats I know that's in the gangs? These niggas live in the apartments over there. Do they own or they rent? Pops is like, they rent. And I was like, so how can they claim ownership of something that they rent from? These are my 10-year-old questions to my dad. And I salute to my dad. I love my dad. My dad kicked my ass last night in dominoes. I'm going to get you back, Pops. My dad kicked me and my brother's ass in dominoes last night. But so from a very young age, I was like, so that's why I never banged. One, I had a father that was there for me, so I had an advantage. You know, I always have respect. I don't like to diss people who did gang bang because I know different situations require different reactions. So I've never have been one to diss people who bang. But I'm just telling you my thoughts and my perspective. I used to be like, these niggas is, because our house used to get shot up a lot growing up. Our house, like, I used to live right across the street from Dorsey High School. And back in the 80s, if you was in LA, you know what Dorsey High School was like. And I remember our next door neighbor, they rented. But their son was like from a different set. So at least between like 88 and 90, we probably had 3 to 4 drive-bys on our house where bullets actually hit our house. So gang life to me was real at a very young age. And when my dad taught me that difference between ownership and renting, and I'm seeing all the niggas that's banging and renting, I was like, why are they dying over a block they don't even own, Pops? And my dad just said, niggas don't think. So I never really had the reverence for gang life like a lot of people from LA talk about. I've always respected it. I get it. But I've always been the kind, I'll be over here, you be over there. And that's one thing about LA gang life. LA gang life, especially this is back in 88, 89 when LA had over 4,000 murders in the city. If you didn't act like you banged, if you minded your own business, the niggas in the gang didn't fuck with you. At least from my experience. They always fucked with the people who always wanted to pretend. For the niggas that was pretending, somebody's gonna press them and find out for sure. But if you was a nigga like me that just wanted to play basketball and play the drums and mind your own fucking business, they didn't press you like that here in LA. So for that reason, I don't have much of a affinity or knowledge or understanding. Well, I understand, but like I don't have a deep, detailed understanding of the history of all the single gangs. Certain gangs I know certain things about. Only thing I know was which hats not to wear in different neighborhoods. But since I don't wear baseball caps, I wasn't tripping. My knowledge of LA is more from a political standpoint. My mom, when I was a kid, when I was 8, 9 years old, she was always down there at Nate Holden's office. Nate Holden was our local city councilman. My mom was always down there at Maxine Waters' office when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. So my upbringing was, my mom always showed me where the willpower was. So me being the person that I am, I only talk to y'all and teach y'all niggas about what I have a very good understanding about. So I'm sorry, brother, that's a very long answer to your question, but I do not have a deep, deep understanding of gang life, the intricacies. I just know the rules to not get fucked up. And after that, my knowledge of understanding comes from the real powers that run LA. I can tell you about Kenneth Hahn when he was alive. I can tell you about Nate Holden. I can tell you about Mark Ridley Thomas. I can tell you about Maxine Waters, Karen Bass, Yvonne Brathwaite Burt. I can tell you about the real shit. I can tell you about the difference between the different police chiefs, police chief Parker, between the other brother that came from Philadelphia, what was his name? Willie Williams. I can tell you that. I can tell you the different sheriffs, Sherman Block versus Villanueva. I can give you the people who really run the city. That's where my expertise is on. That gang life shit, go talk to one of these wannabe rappers about that. I've always, with the gang life in LA, I've always been like, I'm going to be over here. Y'all going to be over there. And they've always respected that from me. So I've never gotten involved. What's up, Midnight Green? What's up, Buck Shelton? Oh, my nigga Jay Marcus is up in here. What's up, Jay Marcus? Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting history, Kid Lucifer, like about the P Stones, because I grew up in P Stones neighborhood, but my memory of the P Stones was waking up and seeing the goddamn stop sign spray painted, can't stop BPS and shit like that. I learned how to swim at Rancho Cienega, or what was more known in the hood as Dorsey Pool. So I'm used to seeing BPS all up in a swimming pool on a diving board, throwing up gang signs as they did a. Man, look, let me tell you a quick story. When they always say niggas can't swim, I never understood that shit. Because I grew up, they knocked the pool down because the area's been gentrified. But it was a pool at Rancho Cienega Park. Niggas in LA know exactly what I'm talking about. Had a diving board. And I swear to God, I remember watching my cousin Corey and his friends in BPS get on that diving board. Man, I remember watching the Olympics and being disappointed. These niggas used to get on that diving board, do a triple somersault, throw up their sign, and hit that water with minimal splash. I'd be like, did that motherfucker do a triple Lindy? Yeah, I remember that Rodney Dangerfield movie with the triple Lindy. Like, them niggas from BPS was talented. These niggas used to really have diving competitions, and that shit was way more exciting than the 92 Olympics. I'm not lying. Man. Them hood diving contests at Rancho Cienega Park in 1992, nigga. You weren't going to get no more entertaining than that. Shit. What else y'all talking about? What's up, Chucky? I appreciate that 504. Yeah, people people like that video on music. I'm gonna do some more detailed stuff on music so I can give y'all some game to give to these people, because like, since I did that video, I'll get a comment, someone in the comment section every now and again trying to refute what I say. So this is what you always tell people, because remember this. Let me give you guys some game when it comes to rhetoric. When it comes to conversation, when it comes to debate, the person in the position of telling you that you're wrong, it's on them to prove to you they're right. You don't have to keep defending yourself. When you put your information out there like I did, links, sources, names, dates, if someone doesn't like that and they say you're wrong, all you have to do is say, okay, who influenced? Because their response is there were Caribbean influences in R&B and in hip hop. Go and say, okay, name the artist that influenced, name the song, name the year, and name the time. Well, year, time, same shit. But name the artist. Okay, this fill in the blank hip hop artist or R&B artist said they were influenced in their music by that Jamaican or Trinidadian artist in this year. So far, no one's been able to give me that. Because when I tell you that reggae is influenced by R&B, I'm able to show you I was able to go back and watch that video if you didn't see it. I was able to tell you the very, very, very early reggae artists that pointed to specific American artists, Fats Domino being one of them, that influenced their sound. Because American radio reached Jamaica, but Jamaican radio couldn't reach America. See, if someone has an issue with that, they have to then be able to say, okay, this artist was influenced by that artist in this year. Someone tried it with me. Someone tried to say, well, in 1968, this Jamaican artist sounded like that. I said, dude, in 1968, R&B was on his second, going into his third phase. And you pull up the first Jamaican R&B artist in 1968. Because you got to remember, in 68, that's when Fly and Slide and Family Stone came out. And they were changing the tune of R&B. Motown still had the stronghold in the North, Stax in the South. But in 68, that's also when Philadelphia's coming in, Oakland, and music is getting ready to change. And then R&B makes another shift in 1970. So when that dude came back to me talking about Jamaica and R&B in 1968, I said, nigga, you 2.5 generations behind, homeboy. Argument over. But usually the argument is over. What they do is they just go to the next. They pull the next straw, then the next straw, then the next straw. Don't go back and forth with these people. They can't give you an artist, date, and time. They full of shit. I ain't got my music on. What the fuck am I doing, Dewan? Let me turn my music on. When someone is telling you you're wrong, it's on them to prove it. What genre is Rolls Royce? That's R&B out of L.A. They went back and forth between their R&B based, but they had a lot of disco, but they also had funk. Rolls Royce had disco and they had funk, but they're R&B based. But remember, R&B is the basis for disco and funk. Funk and disco are born out of R&B. Funk and disco are opposite sides of the same quarter. Funk, you slow it down, you put it on the one, you play between the spaces. Disco, you lay 4 on the floor, you emphasize the up note, and you play it a little bit faster. But they're both rooted in R&B. And out of disco, you get Nirvana. Y'all saw that video clip of Pharrell? Yep. Out of disco, you get house music, electronica, or what they call dance music. That's all disco. Out of funk, you get hip hop. You get rap. You have disco influence. There's a lot of disco, and there's interwovenness. It's intertwined because you have some disco and hip hop, and you got some funk and early that Chicago style techno. But R&B is for the most. Hip hop music, rap music is for the most part rooted in funk. And there is a commonality between funk and jazz. Funk and jazz are on opposite ends of extreme genius. Jazz is improvisational, what you're filling in the space, leaving some space, but for the most part, what can you do? How many riffs can you pull off in space? Funk is also improvisational, but how much space can you leave between the riffs? Kind of inverted thinking. both require the exact same amount of genius. And sometimes I'd argue that funk can be a little more genius than jazz. Because you can fake jazz if you have a lot of riffs. But no matter how many riffs you have, you cannot fake funk. Mac Jew, if you want to listen to music from the 70s and 80s, download Spotify and go to my Funk Soul playlist. My Funk Soul playlist is created for people who know the funk or want to get introduced to it, to what real soul is. If you want to know what real soul is, go to that playlist. And then my soul jazz playlist on Spotify, that's more contemporary adult R&B, classic jazz, mixed in with some early influences of contemporary R&B. So I got everything from Anderson .Paak to Jill Scott to Roy Ayers to Count Basie in the soul jazz playlist. The funk soul playlist is going to get you right to where you need to go to know where the real soul is in the real funk. Because it's all soul music. Yeah, 5-4. The real Rastas, they not haters. They know where it comes from. They're secure within themselves. We just gotta tell the truth so our youth know what it is. Because there's this movement lately by these hater-ass motherfuckers. And that's why I call them, they're different than the real Jamaicans. The real Jamaicans, no, they don't trip. It's these new motherfuckers that identify with some other shit trying to change the story. So that means we got to tell the story. Keep it right. Pretty soon, I'm working on right now. Right now, I'm working on a breakdown of Count Basie and Count Basie's influence on music. Cause like in hip hop, the Count Basie of hip hop will be Dr. Dre. Y'all know how Dr. Dre, Pharrell, before Kanye, before Dr. Dre, there was Count Basie. Count Basie during the swing generation and during the early years of when the genre they call standards, where it had more of a swing background than someone singing on top. If you wanted a hit, you went to Count Basie. When the white boys wanted to cross over into swing and really be authenticated, they did an album with Count Basie. Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra, everybody did the album with Count Basie. Ella Fitzgerald, Sammy Davis Jr. If you wanted a hit in the 1950s and early 60s in that standards genre, you had to fuck with Basie. Basie also was one of them that, look, if my whole band can't stay at this hotel, then we ain't playing this fucking hotel. Count Basie gave Billie Holiday her start. Lester Young his start. I know these names may not seem familiar to y'all, but the names I'm giving you, put this. Dre is responsible for, you know how Dre is responsible for like Cube, Snoop, Eminem. Count Basie is responsible for more legends than Dr. Dre. Put it like that. Put it like that. Count Basie flipped more careers. Remember how like in the early 2000s, if you wanted a hit, you went to Dre? That's how Count Basie was. That's why it counts in my soul jazz playlist. What's up, Malik? Yeah, you're right. That's one thing I did appreciate about the Cosby Show. He would put the jazz greats out there. I remember that episode he had Tito Puente on. What's my opinion on technology and music? It's lowering the vibration. Now, there's okay. I don't mind technology. Things are always going to evolve, but I believe that music should always have a live. Music should always have a live element. You could put the technology on top, but that's why I do live drum samples. I do live drum sample packs. So DJs and artists that want some drums they can go to my shit. Links in my bio. In my link tree. Go to my Instagram. My link tree right there. On my link tree, you'll see it. You see my Instagram down there, down below. Organ. Why do they call it an organ? What do you have inside of you? Organs. When someone tugs on your heart, they pull your heartstrings. That's why you need live bass and guitar and orchestras. Your body needs that. Music is healing. Music is healing. And when you get those live, natural instruments played by natural humans with natural human emotion and thought put into every note, that shit heals you. It makes you feel good. All this music now where everything is plastic, I don't know how good that is for the soul. I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell you, but I don't know how good that is for the soul to listen to music. That's all. I'd imagine it's the same as only eating fast food. I'd imagine. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But you need natural music in your life. Oh, but that's a good question, Ramon. Or Patrice Rushen. Patrice Rushen is a goddess. We do not appreciate her enough. We do not appreciate Patrice Rushen enough. Patrice Rushen has produced so much good music out of LA. She's taught so many people. She's been right there with George. Some of her best music was with George Duke. We want to play for you. Patrice Rushen was at the Playboy Jazz Festival back in 2019 doing a George Duke tribute. Patrice Rushen, she teaches at USC. She's been the music director for like the Oscars or the Emmys. I get the Oscars and Emmys confused. I'm dyslexic. I don't watch either one of them sorry ass shows. But she's been the music director for them. Oh my God. Patrice Rushen. She went to Locke High School here in LA. One of the Locke High School legends. Patrice Rushen is incredible. She's a goddess. She's somebody that every girl and boy should know about musically. The reason why I spend so much time talking about those people who created music in the 70s and 80s and the 60s is because those were the last generations who really taught music. They're the last generations that really put authentic seasoning into the sauce. As the music went through the 80s and 90s, it got hella plastic. And it lost a little bit of the soul. So yeah, shit. Patrice Rushen. When you hear Patrice Rushen play that piano, you listening to God. Well, that's a good point, Magnetic. That's a good point you just said. You staring to a screen all day. How can you have soul? That's a good point. That's a good point. See, music used to be a synergy. When you get that band in the room, like I do my live drum sample packs, and for some of the songs that my stuff has been recorded on, it sounds dope. You got to do it. You got to adapt to the times. And so as a drummer, I adapted to the times. But it's still nothing. You still can't beat that live synergy. Musicians in the same room, looking at one another, jamming. And that's why the Free Nationals are so dope. Anderson .Paak. I saw an interview with the Free Nationals. I read an interview. And when I read them talking about how they create, I was like, man, yeah, these brothers create that old school way. They were like, they said basically, they jam session. They just jam until they find a pocket. That's why the Free Nationals are so dope. And they're on my playlist. They're on my playlist heavy. Free Nationals got soul like a motherfucker. Especially when they with Anderson .Paak. But they get in that room together and they jam. And that's how music was generally created. You say you listen to modern R&B, but yeah, a lot of that modern stuff is very low vibrations to the music. Very low vibrations. Extremely low vibrations. People don't like in R&B now. People don't love and court one another. Shit, back in the day, you go ahead and listen to the music, you know. Marvin Gaye, come live with me, Angel. Go and listen to that shit on the I Want You album. That's one of my favorite. I love a lot of Marvin Gaye albums, but that album, shit. The I Want You album by Marvin Gaye. Listen to that level of expertise. Listen to the lyrics. He's wooing a woman, letting her know how he really feels. The instrumentation is backing up the emotion of the lyrics. Listen to that string section on Come Live With Me, Angel. I can't sing for shit. But listen to those strings back up what he's saying and incite that emotion. That's music. And compare that to this plastic shit we hear now. What the fuck did he just say? Singers now ain't even required to hit notes. They just start talking into a goddamn tune. Auto-tune. And that's supposed to be a love song? Compare that to Al Green. Have you been making out okay? You been making out okay? Shit. Compare that to the OJs. Last night together, man. That's why I be like, man, if you want to just stay in the pocket with music, just stay in the 70s. The 70s has so many. You can listen to 70s music every day for the next 10 years and still be looking for other more good music. That era was so dope. For me, my favorite era of music is from 70 to 79. Really? I'm saying overall from 68 to 85. But really? 74 to 79? It was just magic, man. Music, it was just magic. Hear My Dear, you say you more of a Hear My Dear. Hear My Dear is that album that Marvin Gaye recorded when he was divorcing his wife. Oh, we getting divorced? Oh, you about to get the money off my next album? Well, Hear My Dear. Ray Parker Jr. was a dope-ass guitarist. I hated that goddamn Ghostbusters song, though. Ooh, I couldn't stand that Ghostbusters song. Who you gonna call? I hated that Ghostbusters movie. I was like 5 when it came out, and I still didn't like Ghostbusters. But that was Ray Parker Jr. Y'all know that song, You Got the Love by Shaka Khan and Rufus? You got the love to give me the strength to keep on living. That was Ray Parker Jr. on that guitar riff. Doom, doom, doom. That song was written by, that was a Ray Parker Jr. guitar riff. He was sitting in with Rufus, because he wasn't part of Rufus, but he was just sitting in. They took that guitar riff, and Shaka, after hearing the band put that together, she wrote the lyrics on the spot, and they recorded that song, You Got the Love. Music history for your ass. You're right, Red. 74 to 79 is when soul, funk, and disco all came together. They were all in their primes. R&B had refined itself. You had the single R&B groups. I mean, the single artists like your Marvin Gayes and your Stevies. You had your doo-wop groups was in its prime between 74 and 79. The Spinners, the Isley Brothers, the Whispers, the Manhattans. And then you had your funk bands, the Ohio Players, Confunction, Cameo, Parliament, Earth and Fire. You had all the different elements of music at the same, going on at the same time. Jazz was at its height because you had Miles Davis. We got also do another. I got to do another show on the significance of Miles Davis because he kicked off the smooth jazz sound and the fusion jazz sound when he did Bitches Brew in 1970. Bitches Brew in 1970 changed the way music will sound forever because basically all Bitches Brew was basically hard bop what Coltrane and them were doing, but just plugged into amps. He saw what Coltrane when them was doing hard bop, but it was too far out there on certain levels. So that Bitches Brew album was a combination of hard bop and Jimi Hendrix. Miles was even dressed a little like Jimi Hendrix on that album. And then that album was very psychedelic, and that ushered in the era of psychedelic funk. Because George Clinton took the James Brown sound, bass. He even took the James Brown musicians, Fred Wesley, Maceo Parker. Oh, my wife calling me. Hold on. What's up? All right. I'm opening this door. All right. Hold on one second, y'all. Let me open this door for the wife real quick. All right, I'm back, niggles. What was I talking about? What was I talking about? I was talking about funk. All them songs that basically come together. Wait, what was I talking about? You're right, African son. Ain't nothing like putting that foot to the kick drum. You damn right. But basically what I was saying was that was that era that all those different sounds of music came together into one sound. And it was a very special time. And if it weren't for that damn white paper report, it was our own government that conspired to end that sound. I always go back to that. Never forget. That sound did not leave because people were tired of it. That sound was purposely changed. Purposely. Yeah. Yeah, that Sketches of Spain was the shit. Sketches of Spain is when Miles Davis went back. See, Miles went and studied in Spain. He studied the sounds of Zyriab. A lot of artists, Coltrane studied Spain. Dizzy studied Spain. Maurice White from Earth, Wind & Fire. That sound of Zyriab still lives. Who said it was 70? What are you talking about? It was 70, not 68. What are you talking about? I said Bitches Brew came out in 1970. I didn't say 68. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not this off the top of my head, but I said it came out in 1970. Bitches Brew. What are you talking about? I had a lot of Miles' favorite sounds, Magnetic. I love Birth of the Cool. I also love Bitches Brew. I also love Sketches of Spain. He has so many different sounds. But my personal favorite, the two people I listen to the most in jazz music is Count Basie and Oscar Peterson. Count Basie and Oscar Peterson are probably the two I listen to the most. Oh, I love Donald Byrd. The Blackbirds, anything Donald Byrd, Blackbird. The Blackbirds and Donald Byrd, that I have a little bit of them both on my soul jazz playlist and my funk soul playlist. My wife just came home. I ain't gonna be on here too much longer with you niggas. Who's my favorite drummer? I don't know if I have a favorite. It's so many dope drummers. It depends on the era. Max Roach for back in the day. JoJo from Count Basie. Jojo White. Dennis Chambers. Right now, that boy Chris Dave. I like so many drummers. It depends on the feel that I want. But from when I was first, I would say my childhood favorite. My childhood favorite, the one that I first fell in love with as a drummer was Dennis Chambers. So I'm always gonna have a space from my childhood for Dennis Chambers. I can listen to Dennis Chambers play the drums all day. Oh, what's up, Mike in the chat room? Subscribe to Mike's podcast, Mike Rob Boulevard. That's my dog right there. I used to have Mike on a lot, but I don't be doing guests anymore. I gotta have Mike on again. Mike, when we talk some hip hop stuff, I got to have you back on. Mo Better Blues, that was a cool movie. I only saw Mo Better Blues like twice. I know that was Terrence Blanchard on the soundtrack. Terrence Blanchard is one of my favorite jazz trumpeters. Tony Thompson from Chic, yeah, he was bad. He was cold. Al Jackson, yeah, he's dope. Yeah, Idris Muhammad. No, look, you ain't gotta tell me to check out Idris Muhammad. Idris Muhammad is on my playlist. Idris Muhammad is on my soul jazz playlist. I be adding new songs all the time and taking songs away, so both playlists are very active. I'm constantly adding new music to those playlists. Constantly. Oh, while I'm talking about it, you see my t-shirts, Rebel for the Cause. Y'all been buying these t-shirts like crazy. I want to thank y'all. If you don't have yours, get it right now. hotepish.com/apparel. hotepish.com/apparel. Hold on, let me just go to that screen. Yeah, here we go. It's down there below. And also my book, No Time to Waste, my self-motivation guidebook. I'm going to have another webinar coming up pretty soon, and it's going to be on parents communicating difficult issues to your children. I've just been so goddamn busy. I haven't been able to set a date as to when that next webinar is going to be. What country am I in? I'm in the United States of America. Yeah, man. Yeah, Bolo. Idris Muhammad, man, that motherfucker dope. Idris Muhammad has a song that he did with on the album with Roy Hargrove. That what's the name of that album? Matter of fact, I gotta sit down and I'm thinking about it. I gotta add this shit to I'm gonna go and add it to the playlist right now. There's an album of Roy Hargrove. Roy Hargrove is in my Incense and Ashtrays playlist also, because we gotta always bring up Roy Hargrove. We can never let Roy Hargrove's memory die. Roy Hargrove was the first really, really true solid link between jazz and the hip hop R&B sound. It was really Roy Hargrove, because Roy Hargrove, he was around in the early 90s, and he did a lot of that stuff with Erykah Badu. He did a lot of stuff with he did a lot of stuff with that whole Soulquarian sound. You know, Roy Hargrove really was, he embodied hip hop. But there's a song by Roy Hargrove called Oh My Say on the Habana album. First song on the Habana album. Where it has a... That's the thing about us foundational Black Americans. When we include other people's music, we name it they shit. We don't say this is ours. We say this is Cuban. We don't disrespect other cultures and say, hey, this is our music. No. This album is called Habana because it has a Cuban feel. Well, Idris Muhammad is the drummer on that song. So get that Habana album by Roy Hargrove. What's up, I Am Manifesto? I think he passed in 2014. Oh, the Hollywood Bowl was the shit. Problem was the show was too goddamn show. Herbie Hancock. Again, that's why I'll say music between 74 and 79 was on the shit. Herbie Hancock, what Herbie Hancock was doing with progressive jazz in the mid-70s, man. I'm going to see Herbie Hancock in September at the Hollywood Bowl. Oh yeah, Bobby Humphrey. That's another. Yeah, Bobby Humphrey's dope. I'm telling you, hey, Mike. The next show at the Bowl is Kamasi Washington. When people say jazz is dead, shit. Jazz is alive and well, and it's alive and well out through LA. Kamasi, Terrace Martin. The LA jazz scene has really taken over the world. Tell me jazz is dead. Shit. Kamasi damn near got the bowl sold out. His tickets left in the back now, but I guarantee the day of the show, that shit gonna be damn near sold out. 18,000. That's my next show at the Hollywood Bowl. Kamasi, Washington. Have I thought about making a hip-hop documentary? No, I have not. Honestly, I have thought about making a documentary, but I'm not going to start with hip-hop. I'm going to start with the music that comes before hip-hop. The sounds that hip-hop borrows from. I'm going to, when I do my documentary on music, it's going to be very undeniable where hip-hop comes from. Irrefutable. Put it like that. But that's kind of a ways away. When I do my documentary on hip hop, on the music that supports hip hop, I will be doing a crowdfunding for that. But that's probably about a good, I don't know, it's probably about a year away. I want to do an album before I do a documentary. Yeah, American Negro. It'll probably be one on funk, because funk isn't represented properly. We got to put funk in its proper place. And every time you do see a documentary on funk, like with that Tours from the Funk Bus, those white boys want to stay focused on the drugs. I'm not going to make one mention of drug use in my documentary. I don't give a shit what they use. We keeping this shit music. If you notice in my interviews, when I interview artists, I don't talk nothing about their personal life. Because we don't know these people for their personal lives. We know them for the art that they contribute to society. So anytime I interview or talk music or anything like that, I keep it straight up on the art. And that's what funk hasn't gotten yet. Mike Rob, the book is doing good. People been buying the book like crazy. I want to thank y'all again. Y'all be buying the book. I appreciate y'all. Y'all be buying the book like a motherfucker. I appreciate y'all for that. Let's see. What's up, Iron Manifesto? Salute to you. What's up, Ty Ward? Tours from the Funk Bus, that was a Cinemax. And don't get me wrong, it's a good. I'm not shitting on it. It's a good documentary. Like, it's very interesting. Like, you get some good information off Tours from the Funk Bus. But an inordinary amount of time was spent on the drug use. And I really think they played some of the artists. Like, especially when they talked about George Clinton. And they say, yeah, basically it was the drugs is the reason why the music started getting bad in 79. Look, even though the album that Funkadelic released in 79 didn't do as well as the other ones, it was still a great goddamn album. It was still borrowed and sampled from. I always have a hard time pronouncing the name of that album. Trombonipulation. God. On that Tourist on the Funk Bus documentary, when they circled around to this album right here, I hate when that happens. I go pull the image down on the software that I use. If it's not a JPEG, I can't use it. So I gotta go and retype it. Hold on. This album right here. They kind of played Parliament when they got to this album. They were like, oh, George Clinton spent too much money on that nose thing and the music wasn't as good, and blah, blah, blah. But out of this album, you get the sample for the Humpty Dance. Let's Play House. You get the Agony of Defeat. Another album that was a track that was goddamn sampled all over the place. But they try to blame that. But the reason why the album didn't do well is because it wasn't marketed properly. George Clinton really got fucked over in 1980. Do you know that George Clinton was supposed to sign Roger Troutman to be a part of the Funkadelic family? But at the last minute, the majors came in and took him. And then they went ahead and sort of messed up all of George's deals. Because how George Clinton did it, he was about to bring everybody in under one house. Because before that, he would have the Brides of Funkenstein at CBS, Bootsy at Casablanca, Fred Wesley at, another record label. In 1980, George Clinton was about to come in and create his own label, bring all of the Funkadelic family in under one label, and the first album was supposed to be a solo album for Roger Troutman, Zappin' Roger. And the greater forces that are out there sort of undermined that whole thing. But they didn't tell you that on that documentary on the Tours of the Funk Bus. They tried to make it seem like, oh, he was just on drugs, which he was on drugs. And had he not been on drugs, maybe he would have seen the forces conspiring against him do that or come together. But hell, all musicians on drugs, especially back then. They didn't conspire to take away Aerosmith, what they was doing. They didn't conspire to come together and take away what the Eagles were doing. So they kind of, in my opinion, they played George Clinton and Funkadelic to the left with the overtalk of the drug use. Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust. Oh, that's part of that. Oh, we read that. That's one of my recommended books for people to read. That's a good quick book for people to read too. It's not that long. But thank you for the suggestion. I should have the Incense and Ashtrays logo up since I'm talking so much music. I'm looking for. Here we go. Oh yeah, Uncle Jam Records. Yep. You are George Clinton, and George Clinton continues to make good musical rappers. If you go back and look at that new Funkadelic, listen to that new Funkadelic album that came out a couple years ago. It has like an orange album cover. They have a song, and it's on my playlist too. It's on my Funk Soul playlist. It's a song George Clinton did with Kendrick Lamar and Ice Cube. That shit bang like a motherfucker. But I'm about to get off here. Catch me tomorrow morning. I'm doing my breakdown on the whole Rachel Nichols incident, how she's doing that sister Maria Taylor. We're gonna talk about Steven Jackson, Cooning, and Kendrick Perkins, and all these big useless Negroes coming to the defense of the white woman. But I'm gonna bring some history up with Rachel Nichols. I'm gonna connect what's going on with her to that Becky Hammond trying to get a head coaching job, and why all these white women want to infringe on black male-dominated sports. If black men are supposed to be, if we so toxic, if we so dangerous, why are the white women so comfortable being in black male locker rooms? Why ain't they covering NASCAR or horse racing? Shit niggas don't do. They want to come right to the two sports that we do and be goddamn sideline analysts and anchors and goddamn head coaches and shit. So yeah, I'm gonna break all that shit down tomorrow morning. But for real, so yeah, I don't know what time it's gonna be. 10, 9, I don't know. I got some shit to do in the morning. Then I'm gonna come back and be on. So probably like 9, 10 in the morning LA time, maybe 11. But probably about 10 in the morning I'll be on LA time. But yeah. Remember this, there are no perfect messengers, only perfect messages for those who are willing to listen. I'm out.